Hi everyone, welcome back to another video, and if you are new here, hello, my name is Choua, and today I am asking for a little help. I am starting to plan my project pans for 2026, and so I have a few products in mind that I want to pan, but I just can't quite choose which product I want to really highlight in 2026. I am going to introduce the candidates for the Pan That Face palette first, and then we will move to the candidates for Pan That palette. So I don't really necessarily know what I am going to do yet, but maybe this video will help me be able to decide on what is feasible and realistic to do within a year. But the first candidate is by Real Her. This is the Ultimate Glow Getter Cheek Trio, and this is how it looks like. It has a blush, a highlight, and a bronzer all in one palette. This was actually in my kind of declutter pile where I wasn't sure if I'm gonna keep it or not, but I think I have decided that I reach for this often enough these past couple of months, ever since I did my whole mid-year inventory series, that I do reach for this naturally enough to keep it in the collection, especially this highlight right here. So I am going to keep this, but my thinking for this palette is if I'm going to keep it in the collection, I need to really work on it and use it up instead of just having it sit in my collection for another year. So that's why this is a candidate. I really like the formulation of this. I don't know if this is a palette that I'm not gonna get sick of throughout the year. I want a palette where I can enjoy using it throughout the entire year and just really find joy reaching for it every time and not get sick of it and potentially rolling it out in the middle of the year, you know what I mean? So I'm not too sure. This could be a potential candidate. You let me know what you think about this. Another face palette that I have been debating on whether or not I want to pan it. And I've been thinking about this since the start of the summertime. And this is my Phase Zero face palette. This is the blush and bronzer trio. So it comes with two blushes and a bronzer. This is a shimmery blush here. So I kind of use it as a blush topper. It's not really a highlighty kind of shade. If I do roll this in as my face palette to pan for 2026, I think I would need to roll in a single highlight to kind of complete the whole face kind of palette, right? So I'm not too sure. This bronzer also is pretty cool toned. So I tend to use this more of a bronzer where I bronze and contour the face with it. So I'm not too sure how that'll go for the next year, but I already know that I reach for both the matte blush and the bronzer a lot naturally throughout the previous years, so I can potentially finish 2 out of these 3 shades for sure. And I really want to really finish a face palette again, so this one is a maybe just because it doesn't come with a highlight really. It comes with a blush topper, which I don't really necessarily reach for whenever I do organically reach for this palette for the face. This is relatively a small palette as well, so I can finish the bronzer and the matte blush in here in a year. It's just the middle blush that I'm not sure if I'm going to like enough to really keep it in the project after I finish the matte shades in here. And then another palette that I feel like I'm not too sure if I want to bring this into a project pan yet, but this is the Face It in medium palette by Ofra. This comes with 2 bronzers and 1 highlighter. I have put this highlighter into a Project 10 use before, and I really do like it. So I don't want to just declutter this palette just because I don't reach for these 2 shades, but I only reach for the middle highlight, you know what I mean? So that's why I was thinking maybe this palette might be a good candidate, just because I do have a lot of singular blushes now, so I can potentially go back and forth with the bronzer, use the highlight throughout the entire year, and then potentially bring in a blush to be the one piece that completes my face palette. I was thinking this might be a good palette to roll in for the new year if I do not finish my blush that is currently in my project pan right now. So that was my way of thinking. This is all really determined based on whether or not I am gonna continue to roll in my blush from this year or not, if I don't finish it by the end of the year. So these 2 other palettes are also from Ofra. This is the Bienvenidos Miami Mini Mix Face Palette, and then this one is Charm Your Cheeks palette. This one comes with 2 blushes, 2 highlights, and 2 bronzers. Now, I'm not going to pan this entire thing in 1 year. I already know that, especially the blush and the highlight. Possibly the bronzer, yes, because bronzer I use the most out of the 3 cheek products because I can bronze my face with it. I can use it as a eyeshadow. I can use it to fill my brows and all of that, right? So I can potentially finish these 2 bronzers, but when it comes to the blushes and highlights, probably not. Maybe I might be able to hit pan, but I'm not too sure. These are magnetic, so I can pick and choose which one I want to put in a separate magnetic palette and use for the new year and use it as my Pan That Face palette. Now, if I don't want to go in with any of the blushes in that palette, I have these blushes to choose from, and these are also magnetic, and these are also like the same size. So I can put these in a magnetic palette in combination with like the bronzers and highlighters in here. So these are some pretty gorgeous blushes. I wouldn't be mad if I go in with 1 or 2 of these and like hit pan and try to finish it. I don't really reach for my Ofra products in my palettes, but I just can't really get myself to declutter it because I know that I do like the shades, I do like the formulas, but I just don't reach for it organically, and so that's why I want to put them in projects. That is the reason why I am debating, should I just mix and match these magnetic shades and just do kind of like build your own palette kind of thing with these, or pick one of these smaller like kind of trio palettes and then find a different cheek product that is going to complement whatever is missing in these, you know what I mean? But the Real Her one, like, of course it has all 3, so this is the only one that I feel like if I do choose it, I'll feel okay not having to bring anything else in to the project. But these 2 for sure will definitely need either a blush or a highlight. So I'm not too sure. You let me know what you think. I have about like a month to decide what I want to do with my face palettes, but those are the candidates for that project. Okay, so now we have candidates that we need to talk about when it comes to Pan That palette. And the first one I am going to talk about is this one by Tarte. This is the Be You Naturally palette. This is a round palette. This is a really pretty, beautiful palette. It comes with a few shimmers and some mattes. And the reason why this is a candidate is because I've had this palette for a long time. Probably going on about 5 years now, maybe 6. So I really want to use this. Otherwise, it's just gonna sit in my collection, collect dust and everything. I want to still use it while it's still good. So this is one of the palettes that I'm thinking about maybe panning. The only thing is that this is kind of a boring palette. This is like, of course, it's a natural palette, right? It has a lot of neutrals, a lot of everyday kind of colors. So this is a very safe choice. but is this going to be a fun palette to do updates on? Is this going to be a palette where I'm going to reach for every single day regardless of what I want to put on the eyes? You know what I mean? So that's why I'm debating with this one. I can use these shades all over the eyes. I can use these shimmers on the eyes as a highlight, you know, all of that. I just don't know if it's too boring, you know what I mean, to do updates with. So you let me know what you think about this palette here. So this is an all matte palette. So that means if I do roll in this next palette, I am going to have to pick a different palette or different shadows to complement this palette. And this is by Dose of Colors. This is the Sassy Sienna palette. These are all mattes. I love this palette for Asian inspired looks because of just how beautifully natural and like girly it looks on the eyes when you do like Korean or like Korean inspired makeup looks with it. So this is a really good matte palette that I could potentially bring in for 2026, but I would need to really rotate my shimmers, my ColourPop Super Shock shadows, you know, glitters, my loose pigments and all of that to really like be able to reach for this all the time and every day, you know what I mean? And this is only there's only 5 shades here, so finishing it shouldn't be that big of a challenge compared to the palette I am currently working on this year. So you let me know what you think about this palette here. It is also a older palette and I really do want to get some use out of it before it is time to retire it. So that is one palette there. Another palette that I am debating whether or not this should be my Pan That palette for 2026 is this Violet Vase Essentials eyeshadow palette. This is the first palette that I got from the brand through my BoxyCharm, and I fell in love with the formula. I fell in love with the colors and how it works on the eyes. And so I thought, you know, instead of just collecting all of the palettes through BoxyCharm, maybe I should try to use it up a little bit more diligently. So I thought that maybe entering the first one in might be a good one. Also, this one is a really colorful palette. With this palette, I get some pinks and purples that I love putting on the eyes. I also get my warm tones up here whenever I want to wear warmer tones. I get a very universal shadow, shimmer shadow that I can put all over the lid or in the inner corner or on the lower lash line. I have a black that I can work on the entire year, and I really like this black as well. And then I have a little bit of pops of color like this yellow and this green here that I can use throughout the year to just add a little bit more color to the eyes. So this one I thought about maybe bringing it in as like one of the colorful palettes that I want to challenge myself to use up, because I do have to admit the palette I am currently working on this year is a safe one versus this one has some color in it. This one has some color in it that will challenge me to really create different eye looks with it. So yeah, let me know if that one is a good candidate. I am not too sure yet. I am a little nervous about that if I do enter that palette into my project pan. So I don't know. You let me know. This one is by Beauty Creations. This is the Esmeralda 2 palette. This one is a really beautiful palette. This one is going to probably be a challenge because this is a 15 pan kind of shadow palette. So that means I'm gonna have to really go into this like almost every single day to be able to hit pan. So this one, it has a lot of safe shades in it that I can wear on like more neutral days, natural days, days that I don't want too much drama on the eyes. But also there's enough color in here that I can wear whenever I do want a little something something on the eyes. So I have options with this palette. I do really like the formula in this, and I feel like I just don't reach for some of these shades enough. So that's why I was debating or not whether this can be a good Pan That palette candidate for 2026, because there's a lot of not only safe shades in here, but shades that I can challenge myself throughout the entire year to use up, you know what I mean? There's this one. Do let me know if you feel like this one may not be a good one or not. But I have been thinking about this palette, whether or not it should be one of those candidates for a long while, like since the start of March, basically. I've been thinking about this palette and whether or not I should bring it into a project. So I have another palette that has quite a lot of shades in it as well. And this is by Cab Cosmetics. This is the Day and Night Eyeshadow Palette. This one comes with 18 shades, and this one is more like purpley pinks. This one is a really good palette to again use for day or night. I have used this palette for both day and night in one day. There was a day where I wore very like soft glam, professional look kind of shades, and then I needed to go out, I think the same night for something, like for dinner or like a gathering or something like that. And so I did decide to like grunge it up a little bit with some of these darker shades here. That's why I was debating of whether or not I should, you know, enter this in as my 2026 palette, because it has a lot of, again, safe shades that I know I can use up, especially these transitional shades here. And these pans are small enough. They're like kind of like the size of like the first like joint or knuckle or whatever of my finger. So the pans are small enough that it won't be too intimidating. So you do let me know if this is a good candidate. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous honestly looking at it now whether or not it will be a good candidate, but like these colors just look so freaking beautiful. Do they not? Like these shimmers look so freaking gorgeous. So do let me know if this is too big of a challenge for someone like me, or like you think this palette would be a good challenge for me, since I've been wearing a lot of makeup lately. And lastly, this next palette I have really loved a lot, and this gives me just enough color and everything that I feel like I might be able to reach into this palette, if not every day, every now and then, to create an eye look or add one of these shades on top of what I already have on the eyes. And this is the Hello Charmer palette by BoxyCharm. I really love the colors in here. I also really like the formulas in here. And this one has 12 shades in it, so not too bad, but the pan size are bigger than the Cab one, so that means I have to really go in with this one if I want to hit pan in every single shade and like finish some of these shades, you know what I mean? The swipe up one, I'm not too sure if I am going to really use this one, because this one's a little bit chunkier with the glitters, and y'all know how I feel about chunky glitter on the eye. I just don't feel comfortable, you know? I just don't feel comfortable wearing these on the eyes all too often, just because I'm worried about my eye health and I don't want to cut my eyes. So that might be the only shade that I might just hit a small pan on and then be done with. But all these other shades I can definitely go in and create beautiful, colorful looks. And this is kind of like one of a kind kind of palettes that I have that you can't get anywhere else, because it says exclusively for BoxyCharm subscribers. And so this is the last candidate. Do let me know which one of these palettes you think will be best to roll in for the new year of 2026 as my eyeshadow palette to pan. And then also do let me know what you think about the candidates for my Pan That Face palette. I do want to start filming the intros ahead of time and everything to get it all edited and put out there before the new year and all that, or at the start of the new year. So do let me know what you think. I do really need your input because obviously your girl can't decide. That's why I'm doing this video in the first place. So anyways, thank you so much for just being here. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.